Let's hope that my connection holds up this week. Last week I had some issues. You weren't here, but it was this weird. Like normally, like recently, I haven't had trouble with lag. If you guys are watching this on playback, you're probably hearing this conversation right now. But normally with these live streams, I don't have a lot of lag. But for some reason, last week it was almost like a snail's pace, which was really weird. So, but we'll see. I got my phone with me. I fixed it really quick last week. It's just annoying when it happens and I'm like looking at the box and I'm like, oh, it's red. Okay, yeah, I need to switch it up. It's just kind of annoying. Anyway, if you're watching this on playback, you guys, welcome to the live show. This is the DCTV Roundup, our Thursday series where we're going to talk about all the shows from this week. Take the intro down here. I am joined by Paigey tonight. He is free and he has a puppy. So, but we're not going to show it. I know when he did a live stream, a lot of people were like, show the puppy. And you're like, I don't want to, if I let him in here, I'm going to have to stop the show because he's very needy. So no puppy. Whining. If you want to see his puppy, there's plenty of pictures on Twitter. But we're going to talk about all the DC TV shows from this week. We've decided to do these on Thursdays. I'll probably still do Tuesday shows every now and again. I think Paigey did one this past Tuesday. I didn't. But it's easier on Thursday because all the shows have aired and we can literally talk about everything. No, we're not doing Arrow first, Wilson. We're going to talk about Arrow. We're going to get to it, but we're doing them in order of them being released. But do not worry because one of the shows was so poor this week that we don't really have much to say about it. And I think you know which one we're talking about, Paigey.
Is it the first one?
Me. Yeah, it's the very first one.
Yeah. Just make sure. Okay.
Yeah, I think everything was okay this week except for that one. I think that was the one that was like the weakest, I think.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, CJ, that's why I wait to do this. Because me and Paigey both do our, like, he does his whole video. I write out my notes for my video, which I record after we're done with this. But that way you get time to see his video before you come in here. So that's kind of why I wait on it. What the hell is wrong with the Flash and Arrow villains this season? We're going to talk about that here in a second. All right, so let's start out because I've got everything mapped out here and I'm watching my time. Let's start out with Supergirl and just get this out of the way. It was a really boring episode for me this week. It was probably my least favorite of the season.
I'm just trying to remember what happens.
Nothing really. It was the Lena and James episode with a little bit of Samantha stuff in it. They tried really hard at the end of that episode to pull it in with the Lexo suit.
Which was such a waste of the suit.
It was a real big waste of the suit. And I felt the same way when I saw it. I said, it's cool, but it was rushed. You could tell the CGI was rushed.
Yeah.
It was like bad CGI. Bad.
Yeah. Like that thing's meant to be able to take on Superman and got destroyed by a drone.
But see, that's the part that got me. Like when that scene happened, I'm like, okay, Supergirl hasn't really done anything. She's used her super breath a couple times. Is she gonna fight the Lexo suit and then the drone fights the Lexo suit with Mon-El riding it like a motorcycle, which I'm just like, what is going on here? What is happening? It was like like this episode was something from season 1. I felt like it was very season 1.
Yeah.
No, the Legion wasn't really there. I mean, I know they mentioned them, but what could Brainiac and Saturn Girl have been doing that was more important than helping them with this situation? It just didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I think you're going to get a lot of that this season, though. Like, I think Saturn Girl's going to be in the whole season, just that in Brainiac as well, but they're just going to disappear for, like, episodes at a time. And just, like, but Mon-El will be there.
And they did, Giovanni brought it up, they did mention Maxwell Lord. I didn't see it, I heard it, but it was so quick. I didn't hear it the first time. Like, I had to go back when someone said they mentioned it, I'm like, what? Really? So I went back and I was like, am I really gonna have to watch this whole episode again? But luckily it happened pretty early on. It's like, okay. So we get a mention of Maxwell Lord in probably arguably the worst episode of the season. And then Cadmus coming back. Is it gonna happen or not? I mean, are we gonna see Cyborg Superman again, considering that David, who plays Hank and Martian Manhunter, said that was like the worst thing he's ever done. I think he said in an interview it was like he didn't understand what that character was about or why they were calling him Cyborg Superman. The same thing all of us have been saying. He's like, I don't understand why his name was Cyborg Superman. And I was like, oh my God. He's speaking for all of us. So I don't know if we're ever going to see
Yeah.
that character again or not. I mean, they may, but anyway, anybody in the chat got any questions about Supergirl? Because this episode was bad. I don't think there's really much else to mention about it. Okay, we'll talk about the Samantha and Rain stuff. There was a little bit of that. I do think what they're trying to do with that character, and I don't know if it's because of fan reception or maybe because she was better than they expected her to be, but I feel like they're making this character so much of a split personality from Rain that they can absolve her from the stuff that she's doing. Do you think that's what they're doing? So that she's actually not necessarily a villain? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's almost like they're trying to go almost not exactly the same, but Killer Frost's like teasing which way she could go.
It feels like the same story to me.
Yeah, it feels like it's Killer Frost, but with someone that can fly. They're teasing which way she could eventually go, and right. I think at the end of it, one of the theories I've heard, and I don't like the theory, but it could happen because the common theory has been like, oh, what happens to Samantha? Whatever happens to her, sorry. Ruby goes and is adopted by Alex and Maggie. That's like the end of the season. That's like the happy ending for Ruby because. But one of the other theories I've heard is that Ruby is actually the last world killer, but she's the most powerful.
So there's 4 of them, technically, is what they're saying.
Yeah, so she's the most powerful of the world killers, which I find stupid because I think it's stupid having like a 13-year-old villain. But anyway, that's one of the theories. And then Samantha turns and she's on the good side, and she has to actually end up taking, which I think it's stupid because once again, if Ruby was like maybe 16 or 17, maybe like what was her name, Magenta on Flash last season. If around that age, I would believe it. But she's like what, 13 maybe,
right? And on top 12, of that, she doesn't really have a reason to like. Why would they wait so long to activate her as a world killer?
And there's no hinting at it. There's no hints at it either. There's like nothing where like, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess we'll find out in the next couple episodes if they're going to lead down that route. We might get a hint at it, but I don't think they will. I think that's a silly theory, but Supergirl in general can be very silly, so you never know what they're going to do.
There's also a hint of Caramel returning, apparently, from this episode, and people are saying that Samantha and Alex may be getting together, which I don't think that's... I mean, it's possible, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know.
That would be kind of weird. I mean, is it just like, oh, there's 2 single female characters, we need to put them in a relationship? Also, what else was I going to mention? Oh yeah, Mon-El. Like, have we really discussed how they're flying? Has that even been? I mean, we know how they're flying, but as a viewer who does not know anything about the Legion, wouldn't you be like, you know, how was Mon-El flying? Did they ever discuss that?
Yeah, it's almost like I think it's almost like we're just left to like if you weren't familiar with what was going, like the rings and stuff. I guess you're just left to assume that we didn't see Mon-El flying before, but as soon as he had the ring on, he could fly. Like, I think they're just left to assume that because it's not like they've showed it once,
right?
Like that scene where they go into the ship and they put the rings on and then they're flying, but they're not showing it multiple times to a point where if you weren't familiar with the source material, you knew what was going on, and you have to do that sometimes.
Yeah,
you know, you have to repeat it just so, like, I'm not saying every single time Mon-El flies, but you know, just, you know, do it a couple of times. Eventually people are going to learn what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is I feel like sometimes there's a difference between like force feeding us information and actually explaining stuff to people that don't know. Like, for example, when you have a character that comes in, like I'll use Jonah Hex as an example from Legends. Jonah Hex would come on the episode and literally give us all the information we need for everything. Like, this, and everything is known. And I don't like characters like that. And then you have situations like this where he's flying. There is a ring that gives him the ability to fly, but no one's talking about it. It's not mentioned. Yeah. It's not, I mean, that should be something that should be discussed. So yeah, I mean, this is just, again, this is, we're getting way off topic there, but again, this is just stuff that goes through my mind when I'm watching episodes like this, where we have so much filler content and they're not actually addressing stuff that I think could be quite important to the viewers. So
yeah.
All right, enough of Supergirl. I don't want to talk anymore about that. Let's move on to The Flash, because I think The Flash had some pretty good stuff this week. So this week's Flash was Barry still behind bars, and we're dealing with a new metahuman and the team working to get Big Sur out of prison, which didn't work, which I'm actually glad it didn't, because I felt like everything was so convenient throughout the episode. When they got to that point and
Yeah.
they weren't able to get the confession, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I thought that was kind of cool. So for me, I thought this was one of the better episodes this season, which is weird because it did have a lot of comedy in it and a lot of over-the-top comedy. But for some reason, it felt like it worked for this episode. I don't know if you felt that way about it or not, but I definitely thought that the comedy was much better in this episode than it usually is.
I think it's because it fit the situation.
Right.
Like the episode in general was set out to be silly, you know, or like, you know, comedic in nature. Like, you know, you're getting two of the more comedic characters on the show being shrunk. Of course, it's going to lead to funny things. But it's not in a situation where, a la couples therapy, where they're trying to do really weird humor there and it's not working.
Even like the couples therapy in this episode, the humor worked in it this time, opposed to when
just
Barry and Iris went.
It fit the situation because that's what they were going for, and that's what it should have been. Like, because the situation that Cecile was in, but in that episode, 2 or 3 or whatever it was, who cares? That should have been a serious thing,
right? And
they turned it into a joke. Well, this one allowed itself to be a joke if they wanted to go down that route.
Because the idea of her having powers, this whole, like, we'll jump into that too, but the whole process of her having these powers is ridiculous anyway. So the fact that they just went ahead and said, you know what, it's just going to be over the top silly, let's go with it. And I think that worked for it. Sort of like Legends. You know how Legends will, like, introduce something ridiculous and then they just say, you know what, it's stupid, we're going to go with it. I think that's kind of what happened this week. But it was in a good way. Like, sometimes it doesn't work. Like, the Bebo episode of Legends was horribly bad. But everything else pretty much works. So Barry, surprisingly to me, Barry in this episode, without wearing the suit, felt more like the Flash than he has in a really long time. You know, inspiring hope in the inmates and Big Sur, and basically being this beacon character that they said he was going to be at the beginning of the season. The showrunners kept saying he's going to be comfortable being the Flash. He's going to feel comfortable in his own skin. He's going to be, you know, so much more powerful. He's going to know so many things. He's going to be this iconic character, this hopeful character. And we really hadn't had that this season until this episode, I felt like. Maybe that's just me, but I just felt like it was very well crafted what he was doing behind bars. Because didn't they say at the beginning of the season that the lighthearted tone was also going to go along with Barry being more of a superhero than he was previously, like in season 3? Something along those lines. I believe that's what they said.
Yeah, they said a couple of things. Like some of the stuff seems to be coming out now, like in the back half. Like at the beginning of the season, they said, oh, Barry's going to have all these abilities, but he's not going to know how to use them because he learned them in the Speed Force when he was sort of out of it.
Right.
And obviously one of those abilities was that thing we saw in the courtroom where he was able to put Iris in like a Speed Force bubble or cocoon or whatever you want to call it, so she could communicate. So that's one of the abilities he has, like, embedded in him, but he just doesn't know how to express it. It's probably the best way to put it. So I'm guessing we're going to see. We might see one in this week's episode when they're escaping from prison. That might be a cool new ability that he can do.
Yeah.
You can even argue the bit where when he's in the Thinker's room and he vibrates really fast to go invisible. You could argue that maybe that's a new ability he learned in the Speed Force.
Yeah, I mean that is true.
But they didn't make it clear in that episode, which was, so I don't know. It's hard to. But that's just a weird writing, I guess. But yeah, they said multiple things leading into this season, which we really haven't seen come out, because they also did say that Iris is going to have a storyline, which is yet to poke its head out either. So
right,
I think sometimes they just say stuff at the beginning of the season to get people watching. Do
you think the Iris storyline is going to be the speedster thing?
I hope to God. I hope that's what I'm hoping is, because Iris, I've said this in a video and people are like try to defend it, like the reason that it's in the show. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense that it's in the show, because in the comics, the premise of it was like there was a threat to anyone like sort of connected to the Speed Force, and they'd established in the comics at that point that Iris did have a connection there. So Barry had to give her some form of protecting herself. So he gave her a suit, and it's literally in total reading time. It's like 15 seconds of the comics.
Right.
But so people are trying to translate that. Oh, it's 15 seconds in the comics. Okay, it should be a whole episode of The Flash. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. That actually makes sense on the show, and it's been proven this week that the speeds, being pregnant, her giving her speed, isn't what leads to it.
Right.
You know, because Cecile didn't have a metahuman baby. It was just she was affected by the dark matter. She was one of the few that's like it's being triggered by her pregnancy at that point. So Iris would have to get to that point in her pregnancy extremely quick for
That's
that to
true.
work, because that's
Yeah.
episode 16.
That's true.
So it doesn't make sense, the pregnancy thing.
Yeah, and that's another thing is when I in my video I mentioned this. If we're saying that dark matter can be latent in pregnant women and cause them to have powers, there should be like metahumans all over the city then with powers. Like,
Yeah, but I guess it just matters because Cecile's one was like reading thoughts. It wasn't pure telepathy.
right,
Like telepathy, you can like communicate through your brain.
Right.
So I could be, hello, Eric, I'm in your head.
Mhm.
I could be speaking to you like that. But her thing was just like, if someone's thinking something, she can hear it.
yeah.
It wasn't both ways.
It's just
So-
it's so weird that the explanation for it was better than the rumors I heard, but I still feel like they just wanted her to have that power and they needed it to happen. Like that's
Yeah,
what I
it's
feel like.
almost like it's going to be like a convenient thing to bring Cecile into the storyline more.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't feel like she's a character that just pops up conveniently a lot of the time.
There was
And it looks like next week she's going to be probably the reason that team knows that the warden's up to something shifty.
yeah, I saw that in the trailer when I watched it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there was a whole article over on I want to say Collider about Iris. Did you see the article about? I shared it on Twitter.
I've been linked a lot of articles on Iris, and I tend not to read them because they tend to be very biased.
Well, this one was very biased, but the weird thing about it was not because I'm used to that now, but I think the weird thing about it is that they talk about Iris being a character that doesn't need powers this season, and they wrote it without, like, the person that wrote it has no idea what's coming. So they wrote this whole piece about how awesome it is for her to be the team leader and not have to worry about giving her metahuman powers.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like, what is that article going to get redacted when she comes out with powers, even if it's only for like 1 or 2 episodes? It's really kind of weird. But it goes, the reason why I was bringing that up is because it goes back to the whole Cecile thing. As a character, do they have to give her powers to make her meaningful to the team? Or is that something where the writers are thinking, we need to make her more interesting, so we're going to do this thing to make her more interesting, or to give Joe more moments with her? Because the moments in this episode between Joe and Cecile were probably some of the best moments we've had with them, like, since they got together.
Yeah, but it's a bit of a shame that the writers couldn't do that naturally, but had to feel the need to give her an ability like that to make it happen. Like, they could have made it happen without that.
Yeah, because I think several articles that I read after I did my review said that the actual telepathy, even though it led up to them having conversations, those conversations could have occurred over just the course of normal arguments or things between the two of them. You know what I mean? So it didn't have to happen that way. So that's kind of interesting. So I felt like Caitlin was kind of the only character that wasn't like really showcased in this episode.
Yeah, I brought this up in my stream. Yeah, because I didn't do a review for Flash this week.
You did a live stream. Yeah, I saw that.
I did a live stream because I joined late, so I was like, well, I'll just live stream for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
But I mentioned, because someone was like, someone mentioned about Cisco and Caitlin getting sidelined all the time compared to like maybe their season 1 and probably season 2.
Mm-hmm.
How much they were putting into the thing. And I was like, yeah, it's because Iris is on the team. Like, the perfect thing was, if you go rewatch, I know it's not hating on Iris, it's literally just pointing out what's wrong with this season and how they've placed certain characters.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go back and watch, it's towards the beginning of the episode, and it's just when like Barry tells him about Big Sur and stuff, and how he was like wrongfully committed and stuff, and they look up the pictures and stuff for the different people. Iris is going through the details and stuff, and I was like, that's exactly what Caitlin would do in season 1 and 2. So they've just given something that Caitlin would always do in the previous seasons to Iris, because to give her screen time, but because of that, they've pushed Caitlin to the side and given her nothing. Oh, that scene, everyone says a line I think Caitlin says like one thing, and the rest of the scenes that time she pops up, it's her just nodding in agreement. I'm like, that's really bad. Like that's what she would have been doing in previous seasons.
And I watched season 2. Well, I've been watching season 2 again over the last few days. And I used to like have a very deep hatred for season 2 because I didn't think it was as good as season 1. But I will say this. In season
3.
Are you season 2, even though it's not as strong as season 1 as a whole season, I think the best episodes of the series happened in season 2.
Yeah, 100%. Some of my favorite episodes are from season 2, like when they go to Earth 2 and stuff like that. Like they first go over there. Enter Zoom is one of my favorite episodes.
I love the one where Barry goes back to talk to Eobard in the timeline and deals with the
Pied Pipers.
Yeah, all of those episodes are some of the best episodes of the season or series, and they happened in season 2.
And even like is it versus Zoom when you learn all about Zoom's flashbacks?
Yeah,
and stuff like that, and then that encounter with Zoom where they take him down. Like, it's the issue with season 2, and I've always said it is Zoom's overall plan. It just fell on its face. Like he'd be built up as such as like this homicidal maniac, and his plan was to run around a thing very fast and destroy things. Like it was really lame. Like they could have made it much more, well, just better, more personal. I guess.
I felt like a lot of the setup for that, like at the beginning of the season, it was almost like they were stumbling over that storyline, and then by the end of the season, they knew where they were trying to get to. They just didn't know how to put it all together. It was probably really ambitious because of how good season 1 was, but I think individually some of the episodes were really good. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I think Caitlin had her best episodes in season 2. A lot of Caitlin's conversations and things she did in season 2, she pales in comparison now to what she was doing in season 2. Just in my opinion.
And it wouldn't like when you're an actor, I know you like she'd probably be getting paid pretty well. It's pretty like, especially now, like she probably wouldn't be doing too much in comparison to maybe season 1 and 2, which she was doing, apart from maybe having to get up and Killer Frost makeup every now and then.
Right.
But like this leads to people leaving shows and stuff like that. You know, like them getting demoted and losing lines that you know, I don't think she deserves it. Like some people lose less screen time stuff probably because they deserve it, like they're not giving their all, or maybe just not many people like their characters and stuff. But Caitlin's a very liked character on the show. So like I don't think many people would say they hate Caitlin, because I don't think she really does anything to be hated, or at least she isn't written to be hated. So it would be a shame if she left the show because of that.
Right.
Just because
if I was her agent and I saw what was going on and there was a better deal that came along, I would say, you know what?
Take it.
Yeah. You could get a lead on a show. There's more money. You're very talented. So I just wanted to point that out because a lot of people on Twitter were telling me, or I see a lot of this, you know, hashtag bring back original Team Flash because of what's been going on this season. And I feel like even though Cisco has had silly moments, he's had significantly more screen time than Caitlin has. And this episode
he's got his own relationship on the show as well. And you could argue it's not really forced. Like it still works, I guess.
So moving on from that, I think the Dwarf Star as a metahuman fooled me because the editing was really well done with how they showed that character in the previews. I thought it was going to be Tech, personally.
Yeah, you made it look like the gun was the I thought it was like around the similar plot line, like something to do with Harmatech. That's what I thought, and that's basically what happened. But it was that he was carrying that Dwarf Star on the bus, and he got. So I thought he might have known some stuff about Tech, or if even a Harmatech that had like somehow, you know how Ray has that thing where you can shoot it and shrink things.
Yeah.
On Legends now, I thought like somehow it would have it in present day. Like that Tech would be there, and that's what he stole.
Yeah, I loved it because I honestly thought that the writers were just, and I love that they tied it in with Ray and the Dwarf Star alloy, because I was like, all of this is tying together. They really made an effort with that, and I you know,
it wasn't pulled out of the air like, oh, this random material that we never heard of.
So I thought that was kind of cool. He's a cool villain, so I can't wait to see more from him. Now,
he's in next week's episode, which is good.
Yeah, I think so. So we found out that Cecile's baby is a girl, apparently. So no Daniel West. Now, there's a rumor that
Or
she's
Danielle
gonna,
West?
or Danielle West. There's a rumor, and again, take this with a grain of salt, you guys. You know how it is with these rumors, that she's gonna be Melanie Thawne, which is the mother of Bart Allen, the wife of Don Allen, not Dawn, Don Allen, and that's who she's gonna be. But I don't know if that's true or not. And they're saying that that is gonna be the character that that either the baby is going to be that character or the mystery girl is going to be that character. Apparently, Melanie Thawne is a name that's being tossed around in the background. I don't know if any of this is true or not, but
that just sounds like it's just been people have just gone to like the Flash wiki and looked up characters that could potentially be showing up on the show and just chucked. Okay, it's not Daniel West anymore. Who's a female character?
Yeah.
Isn't Dawn Allen?
Because I thought that I'm like, why would they pick that character is so randomly selected? Like they're like, oh, it's either that character is either the baby of Joe and Cecile, or it's the mystery girl. It's like they're just like saying it's one of those. It's one of those characters. That's like me saying, oh, well, Dawn Allen is either the baby of Joe and Cecile, or it's that chick from the future, or it's a character from the Legion of Superheroes that we haven't met yet. I mean, you could literally just make those up, but the people are saying that's who it's going to be, that it's going to be Bart Allen's mother. And I'm like, oh gosh, okay. So how do you even come to that conclusion? The child is Joe and Cecile's. Like, she wouldn't even be a Thawne or an Allen. So
yeah. That's why when people were saying that, like it's just people make stupid theories sometimes. Like even people were saying like that the character we can think is Dawn Allen, so the girl that keeps appearing that appeared at the end of not last episode but the one before with the symbols. That's like Cisco and Gypsy's daughter.
Yeah,
like,
I've seen that too.
If you look at her, she's obviously not Hispanic.
Right.
Like both the Cisco and Gypsy are Hispanic. She is not. She's obviously biracial, like black and white. She's obviously that. So, I think people are just pulling the straws and just hoping that things happen. But
now,
even also like that she could be the daughter of Joe and Cecile. I was like, yeah, but what's her connection to the season if that's?
And why would she come back for Barry's wedding? Right?
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense.
She's stalking Barry, and then she's around all of his friends. It's not like she's around like CCPD and stuff.
Right. Plus, if she was just a baby of Joe and Cecile, why would she be time traveling and why would she know this language? That's the thing that gets me. It's like, another thing is if she was the child of Cisco and Gypsy, why would she care about Barry and Iris's wedding? She would care more about Gypsy and Cisco's wedding, you would think. Yeah. So the theories, guys, they're everywhere. So there's a Flash Time episode, and I believe you talked about that in one of your preview videos that's coming up really soon.
So we have a break. We have Flash next week, but the week after that we don't have Flash or Arrow.
Right.
And then so that would be on in like a month, basically, that episode, if my calculations are correct.
Right. So, but they're saying there's no time travel this season. They've said a lot of things about the season that they've already like broken.
Well, obviously there is time travel because that girl's from obviously not from this time, so that's time travel there. So they've already lied.
Now, did you notice something? And I caught this at the beginning of this episode of The Flash. At the monologue at the beginning, you know how it slightly changes every few episodes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to say, right? Barry said, "But I was lost in time." At the beginning monologue, he doesn't say I was in the Speed Force or I went to save the world or what. He says specifically that I got lost in time.
Yeah, I heard that. Is that the first time they said that?
Yes, this week was the first time they said it.
Does he say like I was lost in the Speed Force in previous ones maybe?
I don't know. I'm going to have to go back and listen. But he definitely said lost in time this week. And I thought, that's interesting because we've said the language is future language or enlightened language, as you said before. Yeah. So if he actually did get lost through time, and not just in the Speed Force, then that would change everything that we know of the season, if that's the truth. So, it's interesting.
You know, like the argument for this, like the Speed Force is confusing as hell, but like I think this season they could establish what the Speed Force is. They could put their own footprint on what they think it is or how they want to portray it.
It was just a strange way to say it, you know?
Yeah. They could portray it as their own its own plane of time if they want. So technically he was lost in time while also being lost in the Speed Force, because they did say going to the season that Barry's relived his life over and over and over like a countless amount of times. And and that's why when he came out, he was all frazzled and was saying all these things that were yet to happen and have happened in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope they explain it. I don't want like that. It does. The season doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to make sense.
Right.
That was the biggest issue with last season. It didn't make sense.
And it wasn't. And it wasn't perfect. The two of those together make for a bad season. Yeah.
Yeah. They tried to do both of them, and they failed on both accounts. Like it led up to, I reckon, like the last 6 episodes of last season, it was still going strong, and then they sort of fell off.
Mm-hmm. I would rather it makes. I would rather it makes sense than be perfect. To be completely honest.
Yeah, I'd rather just be watchable, fun to watch, and it makes sense, rather than trying to be extremely epic, but it not making any sense at all and just falling on its face, which is what last season did. And also killing off expendable characters. But
yeah. So let's see. We'll talk about the Flash thing and the prison thing here right now. I want to skip over. I got a bunch of little other things, but let's go ahead and get into that because we're running long here on the Flash. So the big exciting thing at the end of the episode was the warden actually somehow caught Barry running on a regular, like, stationary camera on the wall. And I realized that that had to happen for them to get to where they are at the end of the episode. But if that camera, the rotating camera, moves like this, literally back and forth, that means if Barry took Big Sur to China, he did it in less than a fraction of a second, which is faster than I think Barry's ever been. Like, come on. That's super fast, number one. Secondly,
another example.
Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, you finish. I was
going to say, secondly, if he was going that fast, he would have literally disappeared and reappeared. It would have been like Savitar.
Yeah, like traveling, teleporting.
Like he never left his cell, which is why I'm like, how did they get that picture? So
yeah, it's just another case of the writers making Barry as fast as they need him to be. It's frustrating, especially when they chuck out numbers and stuff like, oh, he's Mac, whatever, Mock, whatever how you want to pronounce it.
I noticed people in your comments on that video were like, why is he saying it that way? It's like,
yeah.
You know what he means. Come on now.
Yeah, nitpickers. It's like Eric with a review.
Yeah, because let me review Paige's review. I'll take Paige's review and I'll review Paige's review.
What's a reaction? No, this is a review.
Right, no reaction. But I mean,
this is a re-view.
yeah, that would be funny. But it's a plot hole, but it's not huge because they needed to get him into the cells with the other metahumans, and that was their way of doing it. So my biggest complaint, though, and I mentioned this in my review, was that it feels like the Thinker is going to just swoop in and be like, ha ha ha, twirl mustache. I planned this all along. Like, I don't like that aspect of it. I wish we were seeing some hint that this was his plan. Because right now it feels like the writers are like, okay, we can do all this stuff. We know what we want to do at the very end. We're going to do all this stuff, and then it's not going to make sense, but it'll feel better once it's done. And I don't like that because they did that stupid thing of showing the Thinker, calling Barry at his apartment, and giving him all the information he needs at that point. But yet they won't show little tidbits of other things happening to build mystery, which I think is a huge mistake. But I mean, what do you think? Do you think that this is literally, like, I feel like this is the beginning of where we're going. Like, I feel like this episode coming up is going to be, okay, now the season starts. That's kind of what I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like it's, I think this was all the Thinker's a part of his plan. Like, this obviously isn't the whole plan of the Thinker, but it's obviously that he needed these specific metahumans in that jail to allow Barry to get out of jail. But in turn, it would be making Barry a fugitive. You know, even if like Warden Wolf was like found to be like this weirdo, Barry still would have been committed for that crime of killing DeVoe. So he'd still be in prison. So if he did escape, he'd still be a fugitive. You know what I mean? So I don't know necessarily what the Thinker's going for. If he's like, okay, well, I need Barry to escape to be a fugitive, so maybe he has to live in secret, which then allows me to do this, then do this, then do this, but still be the Flash, but just can't be Barry Allen. hopefully DeVoe's in this episode, because the thing I hate is when a villain is gone and they just say, "Oh yeah, we've been watching them with our security cameras and they haven't done anything."
Yeah.
Show us, like, what are they doing? Because it's been on this timeline. It's been about 2 weeks
Right.
since we last seen them. Show us what they're doing.
On top of that, another question that people brought up was how's Barry staying? How's he eating? Because he can't eat normal. Like he has to eat a lot more than normal food. But
all the pudding that he's winning.
I guess, yeah. I'm assuming that's what it is.
Yeah, yeah. Someone asked me, and I was like, "Well, I'm guessing that's why he's cheating at poker."
J-Rod says, "When can people not see the Flash's lightning?" Well, it depends on his speed. Like normally, I would say, yeah, you could see the red and the orange and all that and the yellow. But we're talking about him being able to run from prison to China within the turn of a security camera. That's like teleporting, basically.
Yeah, someone did ask me. I was like, well, when he's running, why can't? If he's just running like a short distance and he only runs fast enough so they can't see him, so he's back in a second, like in a short distance, then his lightning wouldn't appear.
Right.
But it's when he's like running really, really fast to get somewhere, like where he actually has to really tap into that speed force, where the lightning would be all over him and he'd be leaving streaks and stuff like that.
Let's see. Toxic Task, this episode of the Flash we call Attack of the Samuroids. They're going to bring those back again. Oh my God. Okay. Anyway, so I have to say this. Regardless of the mistakes in this episode and the lack of the thinker, which is a huge problem for me, I actually enjoyed this week's Flash. I think it was better than the last couple episodes. I laughed at stuff, and that's a win for me, I guess, because I wasn't tuned out like I was with Supergirl. Yeah. Literally, I'm watching Supergirl, and this is what I'm doing. Like, I wasn't paying any, like, that's why I missed the Maxwell Lord thing, because I'm just like, okay, well. All right, so let's move on to Black Lightning this week. Did you watch it yet, Paigey?
Yeah, I watched it last night.
Okay. So, I want to say this. I think this episode is the first episode where we actually have some stuff starting. Like, I loved Black Lightning 1 and 2, but I think they were basically introducing the characters and stuff. I feel like this episode, we actually have a little bit of mystery, which I'm happy with. We dealt with the aftermath and the death of LaWanda, and there's a community uprising that's instigated by a pastor at a church. I get the feeling that people know who Black Lightning is, even though they're not saying it. Like, I feel like the pastor, like some of the stuff being said to him, some of the stuff from his friend that works at the police department, the chief, I feel like all these people know that he is Black Lightning, but they're not saying that he's Black Lightning. Which is different than the other shows we've watched. Do you get that impression? I kind of think they know who he is.
Yeah, it's almost like they're not telling him that they know that Black Lightning just so he will be Black Lightning.
Because how do you not know it's him? I mean, come on, let's...
Yeah, it's a bit silly. Like, it's pretty...
Yeah, I feel like
he's got a well-trimmed beard and stuff.
Yeah, he's a tall guy. He's muscular. I mean... It seems like a no-brainer to me. I've kind of gotten over the whole Supergirl thing.
Seems to always be where his family is.
Yeah. Why did Black Lightning save your children and not mine?
Because he's my dad.
Yeah, I still feel like, but I feel like there's a lot of people in the community that know who he is. Another thing I'm kind of curious about is, I don't think in the 2 episodes, I don't think we have a clear idea of how he got his powers. We know he's a metahuman, but we don't know how he got his powers. I wonder if they're ever going to tackle that, or if they're going to save that for next season.
Like, didn't like last week they say something about like, when he discovered his powers? It's almost like he just got them. It's just like in his genes almost.
Yeah,
and he just got them. That's just sort of like how his daughter's getting them.
So he's a mutant, basically, like a mutant.
Yeah, it's almost like that's what they're going for. Maybe it was passed down through his family or something, because obviously his daughters are just going to get him because of him. So maybe he's got it from somewhere else, or maybe it's just a gene that like activated in his system, and that's how he got the powers.
Neo says, I feel like his friend at the police department is going to turn on him or be in league with Tobias. I think the whole police department is in league with Tobias Whale. I don't think there's a separation of that. I'm going to mention that in a second, Giovanni. So I hope that they do address his powers. I feel like just giving him powers without any explanation is a little... I don't need a full origin story, but it's a little bit weird. The Supergirl. We'll talk about that. Supergirl and Outsiders. I feel like those were just Easter eggs because his daughter in the comics is part of the Outsiders, or she was part of the Outsiders. And Supergirl is just a recognizable female superhero. So, I think it's just
a bit weird that it had like a DC Comics. That had a DC.
Yeah, that was a little bit Logan-like, the Logan movie where they have the comic books in it. So I don't know how they're gonna like. What I think may happen is when they finally do, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this out there. The CW executives are gonna want to cross this show over. It's doing big numbers. It's close to the 2 million mark.
Yeah.
I have a feeling next season we will see a crossover between these shows.
Yeah, like they could have done a little like less subtle,
Right.
with the Outsiders thing, because there's a book called The Outsiders and there's a movie called The Outsiders.
Yeah, it was very in your face this week.
They didn't have to have the comics. You could have been reading the book called The Outsiders if they wanted to, and it still would have been a reference.
And then they wanted to bring her to the party to meet the other girl, Anissa, to meet this other girl to break up her and her. Like, that was a really short relationship. But now that answers my question, because last week in my review I said, why is she not introduced this girl to her parents yet? And the reason why is because she apparently didn't want to be with her. Like,
yeah, it was like she was just there for the sake of being there almost.
But I think they introduced her to this other girl because this other girl seems to be a fan of superheroes, and that's going to be her. There's going to be like this juxtaposition between her relationship and her parents' relationship, because I think where Lynn and Jefferson have an issue with him being a superhero, I think Grace and Anissa are going to be different. I think she's going to be excited about having a superhero girlfriend. So
and she's gonna like help her. She wouldn't surprise me if she made the goddamn suit that she's gonna wear.
Yeah. So probably, you know what? You're probably right. That's probably true. Which is going to be weird because she does cosplay costumes, so that's going to be kind of funny. So another thing about Anissa, because that was probably the most interesting thing for me in this episode. I got another thing I want to talk about Black Lightning, but in the comic books, I'm not going to pretend like I'm a huge, I don't have a lot of knowledge about her. I've only read a few comics with this character in it. But I know she can change the density of her body, which can make her almost bulletproof like Luke Cage. Do you think they're going to actually just make her a female Luke Cage? Do you think that's what they're going to do? Because her powers are very similar, except she has to actually think about it and concentrate to use them. Like, it's not all the time.
Yeah, probably just so she. I don't know, because they probably don't want to like that. I know the show's meant to be a journey for the two daughters, while being based around the whole thing of Black Lightning. So they'll probably make it where she's not like powerful all the time, if that makes sense. Just so she doesn't seem too overpowered. Like, she really has to be in that like zen, if you want to call it,
right,
in that mood to use her powers. Until later on, and then she'll just be like, okay, whatever, I'm like this all the time.
Because I think they're focusing more on her super strength than her like invulnerability part now.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Yeah, but it's probably because it's all leading up to a moment she's gonna have to like use it. Probably like that new girl's gonna be like trapped under something, and who knows what they're gonna do. Something along those lines, or she's gonna have to like, when that what fell on her, was it like a microwave or something?
Yeah, it was it was something like a appliance of some type.
Yeah, so it'd be something like that, like something will be falling on that girl and she'll jump over and that thing will happen.
Because if I think they make her just a really strong bulletproof female, they'll basically people will be like, oh, she's just Luke Cage with.
Yeah, and people are already comparing this to Luke Cage.
So. Oh, are they? I haven't seen that yet, but I'm pretty sure.
Is that a joke, or you?
No, I really haven't. I haven't seen anybody comparing that. So no.
Okay.
I thought about it and I'm like, I wonder why I haven't seen it. Nobody's even mentioned it to me, which is weird. But I always thought she was. Now, as far as Black Lightning goes, I have one major thing I want to talk about here at the end before we move on to Arrow. But Black Lightning, even though he's trained in combat, does he have like enhanced strength and stuff? Because he jumps from the top of buildings and he doesn't get hurt. You know what I mean? Like, I'm wondering does he have something else other than lightning, or? Because if you think about it, he jumps from like a 6-story building to the top of a car. And he doesn't hurt himself. Is it the suit? Maybe it's the suit. Maybe the suit is more tech than we think.
Maybe it's like an exosuit, but like just a bit more flexible, a bit more.
Yeah, movable. I mean that's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna chalk it up as that, because otherwise it's gonna bug me. So just gonna I don't want to have a problem with the show. I'm really enjoying it, so I'm just gonna chalk it up as that. So the last thing I want to talk about that I think is the most interesting thing is Gamby deleted a portion of the video. You saw that in the episode, right? Where he deleted the video?
Yeah.
Or the picture. I think he was deleting the lackey of Tobias Whale shooting the pastor, correct? And the boy? Is that what you got from that? That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, I think it was that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to go with that. And if anybody in the chat, the live chat, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But that's Cyanide, that's her name. That's her character name, I believe, on the show is Cyanide. Now, Cyanide in the comics was a very deep cut character who was a male character, wasn't a female character. And it was a Tobias Whale picture. I know it's something to do with them shooting. So I know that much. All right, see you later, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, I think it's all behind. It's because I know, like,
he said, "Forgive me, Jefferson," when he did it. When he deleted the picture.
It's because in this universe, Tobias Whale was the one that killed Jefferson's father.
But in the comics, Gamby was the one that killed his father. Correct?
Yeah, so something along those lines. I think it is.
But see,
that's what I'm guessing they're doing on the show is that he wants Black Lightning protecting the streets, but he also doesn't want him going directly after Tobias Whale because of this.
Well, there's a rumor, and I did a little research after the episode and looked it up. Some people believe that Cyanide is Gamby's daughter. Now, they think that the reason why he's trying to protect her or protect anything related to her shooting or killing people is because it's his daughter. He's trying to get her out, and he's not telling anybody about it. That's the theory right now, because he seems to be very engaged on getting, Jefferson back in the Black Lightning suit, particularly right now at this time. And he also made a point in this episode of talking about where the shooter would be and what he would do and this, that, and the other. And then it just so happens that the female character, Cyanide, in the actual vehicle didn't hit Black Lightning and accidentally missed him and hit the pastor, which in the comics, Cyanide was a character that Tobias Whale did not believe would actually kill anybody for him. And he tested his loyalty by trying to tell him, to go out and kill Black Lightning. But he didn't do it. He killed himself instead. And so I feel like they may be kind of like combining those story arcs and maybe putting Gamby as the father of this character to make it more personal, because it's the CW and everything's got to be personal. So I feel like, Ben says maybe Whale's female henchman is Gamby's daughter. That's the running theory right now. So that's kind of interesting to me. I'm wondering if that's what's going on. And yes, Lady Eve, Kyle, feels like the real big bad, in my opinion. So. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think they could go that route? I mean, it's possible. It would make sense to me.
Or they could have Tobias Whale as a big bad for this season, but he's obviously, and then Lady Eve is next season.
Well, see, and Toshimaru says Gamby has a brother, not a daughter. But see, the thing is, they don't always give you, like, it could come out, dun dun dun, she's my daughter. I mean, that's the way they do stuff like that. Like, they could easily just, because we don't know anything about that character. So.
Yeah, and it also explains, they got a good actor in the form of James Remar to play a character that we haven't really seen much.
Lady Shiva, Lady Eve. He said Lady Shiva joke. Sam.
Yeah, but like James Remar is like he's pretty well known.
Like, I agree. I was actually surprised when I saw him on a TV show. I'm like, what?
Yeah, like you'd argue he's the most well-known character on the show, actor on the show.
Yeah.
Arguably, maybe the girl that plays Jennifer, because she was a big Disney star.
Mm-hmm.
So like she's got heaps of like fans and stuff like that. But like apart from her, James Remar is probably the biggest actor on the show, and he's playing like a side character. So you'd think they would give him this big storyline.
I got a feeling there's more there. We just don't know what it is. Yeah. So I'm going to keep my ears open for it. But anyway, I enjoyed this episode of Black Lightning. I think it's the first episode that's laid down a little bit of mystery in some of the characters. We got to see Anissa using her powers. We got the story arc with Jennifer and her boyfriend, who's now paralyzed, which I can't wait to see how that plays out. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I think Black Lightning is proving to be a force to be reckoned with this season. So again, I think it's going to probably get a crossover in season 2. So
yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Jennifer's boyfriend getting paralyzed leads to her getting her powers, like all the emotional stress.
That's what I was thinking. I actually thought she was going to I thought she was going to have something happen when he got shot. Like, oh, is she going to do it? Is she going to do it? But it looks like they're going to take the slow burn with that. So
yeah, because they're doing all of Anissa, so they don't really want to do both of them at the same time.
Yeah,
they at least get Anissa in her suit, because they've released that suit before the show even started.
Right.
So you'd have to assume in like at least the next couple of episodes she's going to have that
well,
suit.
It makes me wonder if Jennifer's even going to have a suit, because in the comics she's basically pure energy. So
yeah, she can fly. I don't think they're going to do flying. I think they might avoid that.
Yeah.
But they might do it where she like glows.
Do you think they'll just make her a carbon copy of her father? I mean, do you think they'll do that?
Well, she basically is, but she just has she has very similar abilities, but she can like fly, and she's like, portrays that pure energy. So I think what they might do is that she maybe glows,
right.
Like
That's
that girl
possible.
from Runaways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Neo says, do you think other YouTubers are getting your channel hit so your reviews don't come out? I don't think I threaten other YouTubers, Neo. So I don't think that's the case. I think it's just a bad algorithm. I don't know why I keep getting targeted. That's why my Arrow review didn't come out for last week's episode. But if you want to hear my thoughts on Arrow, if you go to last week's episode of the live stream, I basically talk about everything in that live stream. But I tried to get that video.
I just might have exposed me.
Yeah, so yeah, it's all Pagey's fault. It's all his fault.
Yeah, it's me. I'm the bringer of the yellow button.
Yeah, Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into Arrow, because everybody's kind of waiting for that, and I know that Sam had a couple questions for it. So for me, this was a frustrating episode, but not necessarily a bad episode. There was a lot of stuff in it that kind of bugged me. Not like ruined it for me. I'll explain why in a second. So,
I think I might be the complete opposite.
So, no. I didn't dislike the episode. When I say frustrating, I mean like there's a lot of stuff where I'm just like screaming at the TV because I don't agree with the decisions the characters are making. Not that it was a bad episode.
I'm assuming we have an agreement on one of those.
Yeah. So, they finally gave us more context on Dinah and Vince, which is something I've been waiting for all season. Because so far up until this point, Dinah and Vince have been characters where I felt like he was strictly put there to give her a story. And so we're finally seeing why they're so close. It took us all this time to get to it, just to build up to what happened at the end of the episode, which, by the way, I'm still thinking there could be a twist there. I don't know if you feel that way about it or not. But I thought that the flashbacks were necessary, very necessary this week. What did you think about those?
Yeah, I've been waiting for the flashbacks. I thought we were going to get the flashbacks early in the first half of this season, like maybe like episode 7, arguably even episode 9, maybe.
Right.
I was wondering when we were going to finally get them, and I really enjoyed this episode. But if I could change one thing in regards to the flashbacks, I would have had episode and then had this episode be without flashbacks leading up to his death.
Right. You mean like reverse them, put them in the other episode first?
Yeah, put him in another episode.
I agree. I agree with that. I feel the same way, and I said that after I watched it. I was like, I wish we would have had those spread out over multiple episodes instead of all in this one episode.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't mind if they were in like one episode, just not this episode.
Right. It was a little bit much. But the funny thing was, when they first came on, we were sitting here watching it, and I looked over and I was like, flashbacks. Like, I feel like it's been so long since we've had proper flashbacks, and I was excited about it. So yes, Dinah and Vince's story, you guys, very much necessary. I'm so glad we got them. And it was done to build up to Vince's death at the end of the episode, which, do we think that he's really dead? Are you thinking he is? Because I'm thinking there's a possibility he's not.
There's a possibility he's not, just because I think he's a character that little people care for.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if he got brought back from the dead and then died again, I don't think people would be too triggered. But if it was like another character who maybe people, cared about, then it might be a risk to bring him back, just because people would, think he's actually dead. But
by the way, while I'm thinking about this, sorry, give me 1 second. Yeah. Thank you for the super chat, Sam. We're going to talk about all the stuff you put in your super chat question. So thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. All right, go ahead, Paigey.
Yeah, I was going to say, I saw on Twitter, I think someone commented it. Yeah, CJ, who someone wrote it. I can't see it. Oh, Gary Frey wrote, Vince isn't dead, he's just deaf. And I saw people writing that on Twitter as well. I was like, can we not do that?
Yeah, wouldn't that be weird?
Yeah. Got Daredevil, we don't need the opposite.
My thing is, though, the reason why I'm apprehensive to just say goodbye, Vince, you know what I mean, is that his healing factor seemed to be super powered, like immediate. Because when we had that episode where I can't remember, he had blood on his hand, and the blood literally like went back into his hand. It was like 3 or 4 episodes ago, and I'm like,
he like snapped his thumb and to get out of the hand.
That's right, and then the blood just went back into his body.
Like if you do that in real life, it almost like pulls off your thumb and skin and stuff. Like you almost like deglove your thumb.
Yeah.
So that's what was happening there. But then in this episode, I think the same thing was happening. No, did the blood stay on him, or did it retreat back into his body?
It was really weird. It was like 2 different visual departments were doing it, which is weird.
Yeah, it was really weird. Like I've always said this. I think you could tell straight away when he got cut, and he's like cut healed like not that fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's just limited healing. So it's like if he got stabbed in the heart, I think he would die. I don't think his heart would be able to heal fast enough. But I think it's more like, you know, on the exterior, like if he's cut and stuff like that.
So by her screaming, she probably liquefied his brain, most likely.
Yeah, like just crushed his brain, just like liquefied it into mush.
Yeah.
Almost gave him like an aneurysm. That's
Yeah.
I think that's what she gave, just like multiple aneurysms at once, and he just was bleeding out of his nose and ears. So if he's not dead, if he comes back, I'd be annoyed. I don't think it's worth bringing him back.
No, but it does kind of question the level of healing factor he had, because it seemed like it was OP, but I guess it wasn't. So
yeah, I don't think they could make it OP. Otherwise,
it takes away the grounded nature of Arrow if they made him like unkillable.
Yeah. Like people have like a lot of skills and stuff like that, and overpowered certain things, but you know they're still human. They can still be shot in the head and die. Like you can't have someone as overpowered as if he had that healing ability. So
maybe there's a crossover with the Flash. Maybe the pudding that Barry is eating is the brains of
Ooh.
Ship it all to the prison. Ship it all to Iron Heights.
Hashtag theory breakdown. Let's get into it.
Confirmed and explained.
With an arrow and a circle in the thumbnail.
So
and a question mark.
The Black Siren. This is something Sam wanted us to talk about, and I'm excited to talk about this. So we're finally getting something with Black Siren. Finally. I almost, you know what's so funny is when the flashback first came on and it said Central City, I'm like, oh my God, Black Siren flashback. And then it was the one about Vince and I was like, oh, okay, I guess it's not, because it had that color. Like I thought it was going to be Earth 2. And then I was no, it's just a flashback. Confused me completely. But so redemption arc hashtag denied, because it looks like Quentin is trying everything he can to like get her to flip over and be the Laurel from Earth 1. And I actually thought when he was having that conversation with her and showing her those videos, that would be like me walking into an intervention. You know what I mean? Like you get home and all your friends are sitting around and they're telling you how bad you are and how you could be so much better. Like, can you imagine like walking in to talk to Quentin, right? And you're thinking, I just want to have a conversation with this person that was my father, that was killed or whatever. And he just bombards you with all these videos of how great his daughter was. It's like, that's probably not the best thing to do in that situation. But I was so excited. I'm like, okay, she's seeing it. Maybe she's gonna like flip and, you know, do the good thing. And then she goes and like basically takes the brain out of Vince with her sonic scream. But do you think that they're keeping her evil strictly for a revenge arc between her and Black Canary?
I think it's important. It is like you gotta, if you watch that scene back, like she wasn't like, oh yes, I get to kill this dude now. She was very reluctant to do it.
I agree.
Like Caden James had to convince her, like, oh, you're showing me your like, however he's been speaking that weird way this season. She had to show her loyalty to him. Like she didn't want to do it. And it was more to the point where it's almost like she's got her own plan and she had to do it to keep that plan on track.
Mm-hmm.
And also, she is seeing firsthand what is happening to a person that betrayed Caden James. A dude that's got a goddamn pole through his chest and is about to have his brains screamed out. So she's like, oh, do I want that to happen to me? Like, I've already had to deal with Zoom on Earth 2. He was sort of homicide maniac. This guy's like probably on the same.
But don't you feel like Caden as a character, he's got all these people around him that could have easily taken him out by now. They're just like not doing it. Like, for example, when
I think he dies next episode.
because
I'm
when
like,
Vince was in the room with him and he walked in on him, I'm like, okay, there's your chance, and then
yeah,
nothing happened.
yeah. Like I'm goddamn sure that he dies next episode. Caden James. I think next because it got revealed at the end of the episode, towards the end of the episode, might I say, that the person who edited that footage of Caden's son dying did the same. Or, did they confirm it? They said he most likely is the person that.
Yeah,
made the fake
they said that
photo of
there were
Oliver.
that they had, I guess, like looked at it and determined that it was the same person, is what they said between Felicity and Felicity 2. I can't remember her name, whatever that girl's name is. Elena, that's it. Yeah, I can't remember her name. But yeah, let's talk about that then. So obviously it's doctored. You see Arrow on this, like Green Arrow on the street shooting a bow and arrow, and then the kid is sitting like in a classroom and gets hit with it, and I'm like, could you, like, really? You would think that that's definitive proof? But anyway, needless to say. But this is my question though. If Felicity and Felicity 2, Elena, were able to determine it was a fake, then how would Caden not know it's a fake? Because he's able to do the same thing, right?
I think it's more he wants someone to blame.
Yeah.
You know, like when you get said a lot with just people in general, like if something mysterious happens, you almost just look for the first person to blame. That's what happens with a lot of people. I think that's what's happening with Caden James.
Right.
Even if it's just something as simple as, well, I had one Coke in the fridge, now it's gone. Who the hell took it? There's only 3 suspects. Who's been firing arrows?
I'm just right. Who normally drinks Coke? Okay, well then it has to be that person, right? Yeah. Obviously. I get that.
Arrows in Star City. Okay.
I just feel like it's like so weird that he didn't actually. He doesn't seem like someone, like he's playing a long game, so he doesn't seem to be the kind of person to just jump at the first thing. So that's why I'm like, well, if he's not the kind of person to do that, then wouldn't he have taken the time to actually try and figure out who it is? Because getting revenge on someone that didn't do it seems a little weird to me for someone who is so centered around loyalty and trust. And I don't know. It's such a weird thing. I'm not a big fan of his character. He's probably the weakest thing of the season for me right now, to be completely honest.
Yeah. But like my theory around it is that Richard Dragon set it all up, or Ricardo Diaz, because they're not calling him Richard Dragon on the show for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
But Ricardo Diaz, or the Dragon, is setting it all up. I think just so he has an easier road to go down.
Right.
When it comes down to it. Like, he needed Caden to do certain things that he either couldn't do himself or even get his own hands on. Like, he couldn't get his hands on someone who could do what he could do, what Caden could do.
Right.
So he's playing an even longer game than what Caden was going for.
And see, Cody says there's a theory that Billy Malone is Caden's son. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Caden's pretty much done.
We saw.
Yeah.
Who Caden was. So
but I mean, even if that was a running theory, I think at this point Caden's story arc is almost done.
Yeah, if that was, I don't think we need Billy Malone back on the show, to be completely honest. Anyway,
what a wasted character. He was literally there just to get killed off. Like, that was all he was there for.
He was there to get killed off so Oliver faced impeachment.
Yeah, so weird.
For protecting the Green Arrow.
I do want to mention
that was a part of Prometheus's plans. So.
Yeah, I do want to mention how stupid Argus was at the beginning of the episode, because that was just stupid. I'm like, oh, really?
You don't need to be a hacker to fix up a photo. You just need to be good at Photoshop.
Oh yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. You don't need a hacker to do that.
Okay, so some people are saying it's Richard Dragon who did the mock-up photo of Oliver.
Or organized it, at least.
My thing is, though, didn't Richard... He only became a target of Team Arrow after Oliver was not involved? Wait, did that come before or after his introduction? That's my question. I'm trying to remember when the photo was revealed and when Diggle actually tried to stop Richard Dragon. Because
no, that was the photo was revealed at the end of episode 1,
right?
And the photos, Richard Dragon came in episode 6.
So, is there a chance that that's not the truth? That maybe there's another person behind the scenes?
I think we're just getting to that point of the season where, well, they've already said that it's most likely to Caden James, because how would he know to do all of this?
Mm-hmm.
So, I can't see it being anyone else unless they're going to bring an even bigger threat. They obviously haven't been, because it's not Anatoly. Not gonna make Anatoly the big bad.
Right.
Boots is dead. R.I.P. Boots.
Right.
Like the vigilante.
That was so funny that how upset Caden was about that. It's just so funny. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, so I don't know. Well, next episode should hopefully reveal all, and also from my timeline going back and when they were filming certain episodes and stuff, that was the last episode that Michael Emerson filmed.
Right.
Episode 13. Because they filmed episode 14 and he was in like New York or something like that when they were filming episode 14. So we know he's not in that episode.
But see, Cullen says just because Dragon didn't show up until later doesn't mean he's not behind it. I understand that, but what would have been his motivation up until that point? What would have been his motivation?
Well, his story behind this before this season is that he was locked up for something that he didn't do. And then when he got let out, he got reimbursement for it. Like I don't know if he sued or he was just giving it to like shut up about it.
So you think he was going after the mayor and not necessarily Oliver, and that was just he happened to come across this information and was like, "I'm going to get back at the city by exposing Oliver." Is that kind of?
Well, I'm assuming that they explain it, but I know he was given like multi-millions, like over $20 million or something to shut up about it. So I'm guessing that he is using all that money to control the underground of Star City. So it has to start with certain people and get involved with all these people. So that's why Anatoly's involved.
Kyle says we need a flashback with Dragon. Yes, we need multiple flashbacks.
I'd be very surprised if we didn't get flashbacks with him, or at least one episode similar to this episode, just explain what happened to him.
I agree, Giovanni. Earth 2 Dino flashbacks. Yep, I agree. I'd rather see
I can't believe we haven't got them yet. Like, this would have been a good episode to get them.
Vodka and Gatorade. No, it's just Gatorade. I did have something while I was watching Arrow, though, but it's all out of my system now. Where's Henry's money for being wrongly imprisoned? Yeah, where is that money? He was in prison all that time and then proven he was not guilty. So we're in agreement that it's probably going to be Richard Dragon. I mean, it's really the only person that makes sense.
Well, they got a good actor, and like he's hardly in this season. It's ridiculous how like he was in this episode for like 2 scenes,
right?
So I think it must be all leading to, and I haven't checked his Twitter.
If you think about it, though, if Michael Emerson was the big bad for the first half of the season, then it makes total sense that Richard Dragon is going to be the big bad for the back half of the season. You know what I mean? Because they're both really good actors, so you're not going to just get them to do 4 or 5 episodes. Like, I feel like they're going to split the quality of those 2 people over both halves of the season.
Yeah. I was like scrolling through his feed now to see.
Yeah. Another thing that kind of bugged me was if Caden James had blocked the city off from any outside contact, the government would definitely get involved. That whole thing at the end, in the beginning, was like, well, the government's not getting involved. Well, why would they not get involved? That doesn't make any sense. And that kind of bugged me. I mean, I realize why they did it, but this brings back visions of season 4, where Damien Dark was doing things so big, there's no way it could be condensed to just the city. So they need to end the Caden James storyline or pull it in, one or the other, because it's getting too big. So yeah.
Yeah. Here we go. Michael Emerson tweeted over a week ago, traveling to Europe today to work on an exciting project. Exciting and stressful, too far from my family. Hope it goes well. Details to follow.
Mm-hmm. Which means he's not filming Arrow right now.
Yeah, that was a week ago, and they would have been filming episode 15 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not in episode 15. Yeah. But we're still in Europe. Hasn't tweeted since then.
Right, and we know that Mr. Richard Dragon himself has been on set because he has been there filming. Right, as far as we know.
So I think it's safe to assume that Caden. Oh, I think it's pretty obvious that Caden James is either dead or he's in jail.
Right.
In the next episode, and someone's taking over. I think there's been way too much evidence to say that Richard Dragon probably is a person that would want to take over. He's also got the people behind him to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So,
not that I want them back, but what happened to the FBI lady? I think she just turned everything over to the city, right? And left because
I think she gave up the investigation because there wasn't enough. I think for the FBI.
I mean, to be completely honest, that storyline was going nowhere. I mean, it really was.
Yeah, so I'm sort of happy that they ditched it.
I'm glad they got it done like early. We're not dealing with it anymore. Don't bring it back the rest of the season. It was really stupid to begin with.
Yeah, if
Okay.
you're going to involve a storyline like that, you involve it in the first, just because it can really wreck momentum back up.
And on top of that, that would be something that you would want, like, if that was the main story of the season and that was the only thing happening, then I would be invested in it. But it was like this third wing story. Like, it wasn't even secondary. It was completely like, you know what I mean? Like, it was not important at all, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Do you think Talia is really the big bat? No, I don't think so. I don't think, I think that everybody that is important is on screen right now, personally. I don't think there's any mystery stuff going on.
The only big question is because Nis is coming back to the show and she's coming back to warn of a big danger or a big threat that can endanger. I don't know if that's necessarily all of Star City, but at least those close to Oliver, which it's a bit, they don't really.
I'm just excited that we're getting.
It's a bit vague.
Colton Hayes is coming back in a couple episodes, so I'm pretty excited about that.
So it's really like that's probably the underlying question is like, what is Nista coming back to Star City to warn them about? Is it the threat that's already in the city, or is it something that she knows it's coming?
Like Richard Dragon has got something big planned, and that would be cool.
Well, we know that Richard Dragon's meant to be this martial arts artist, so does she know of him and knows what he's capable of, and has heard through the grapevine or something?
So do you think he's playing it cool because he is you think he's going along with Caden James just because he doesn't really have to?
I think he's playing it cool because he doesn't want to threaten Caden.
Right.
Because Caden would be like, "Ooh, this guy could turn on me at any point. Maybe I should not be involved with him."
I think Nissa's coming back in less than 5 episodes.
16.
Right? Yeah.
Episode 16. Yeah. Roy's in that episode as well. So it's going to be Roy's in that episode and Nissa is in that episode as well. So season 2.
Yeah.
Call back.
That's going to be awesome. Okay, so one last thing about Arrow before we wrap it up, because I do want to talk about this. This is I like this episode, right? I did. But the one thing that frustrated me was how Dinah was acting in this episode. And let me explain why. Nothing that happened in regards to Vince was Oliver's fault. None of it. Fake Team Arrow got Vigilante involved in this. They were the first ones on the scene. They were the ones working out a deal with him. He made all the decisions on what he was willing to do and what he wasn't willing to do. Oliver was trying to talk him out of it privately, which the reason why they did that is because they wanted Dinah to be mad at Oliver. Because if Oliver had done it in front of everybody, which it could have happened in front of everybody, there was no reason for that conversation to be in private. But Vince made all the decisions himself. He even told Dinah that he was doing this for himself. I was so screaming at the top of my lungs at the screen in that last scene between Oliver and Dinah, because Oliver's like, "I'm not here to apologize." Well, you shouldn't be. None of it is your fault. None of it. But for some reason, she's holding this against Oliver. And keep in mind that Fake Team Arrow has proved yet again that they are no better than the people that they're mad at, because they kept Vince or Vigilante a secret from Team Arrow after they agreed to share all information. So is this Dinah outrage just completely as from a writing standpoint, I understand where they're going with this because it does make her slightly more interesting. But at the same time, from a person standpoint, she admitted to Oliver how he saved her from this and saved her from that and this, that, and the other. Not to mention, Dinah was laying there while this was happening and never tried to scream at anybody. Caden was right over top of her. She did not sonic scream him.
The thing that I did raise my eyebrow saying, I was like, the last episode, Dinah screamed to stop a moving train hitting them, but she couldn't lift a thing that Curtis and Wild Dog.
I thought the same thing. I was like, what the hell?
But the one thing that I didn't really think about that, to be completely honest, about the whole Dinah, them getting him in that situation, because it'd been really set up in previous episodes. And I just usually analyze episode by episode, what's in that one particular episode. But the one thing that I did mention in my review, and I was like, what the hell? What logic is that? Was when Diggle and Oliver were like, "Oh no, it's fine. They can keep torturing him and he can't die." And I was like, yeah, he can heal himself, but he can still feel pain.
Yeah.
Everyone has a pain threshold, which leads to shock, which can lead to heart attack.
Speaking of that, though, the fact that she was mad because she thought he died for nothing, Oliver literally said, we can't do this without you guys. He told them that as they were leaving. So I get it. You know, that whole thing about the whole pain thing and what you're saying, I totally understand and agree with you on that. But also Oliver told them, we can't do this by ourselves. He said it out loud to all of them.
Yeah.
So again, still not his fault. He may have been a jerk, but what happened was not his fault.
Oh yeah, like this has all resulted from like the Team Arrow being split because Wild Dog decided to dog the team.
Yeah, Sam says the split Team Arrow storyline is bad. It is. It's pretty.
The reason it's bad is because they keep coming together. Like, what's the point of them being split if they keep coming together?
And the only reason they're doing that is because they need to keep all the characters on screen. That's the only reason why. They can't split them up because they don't want to give like these main story characters no screen time.
Well, imagine if it was this episode, how messy it would be. You have flashbacks. You have the Dinah and Quentin storyline. Then you got old Team Arrow, new Team Arrow, and then also dealing with Vigilante and Caden James. That's 5 different things going on this episode, which would not fit.
And Giovanni makes a good point. He says Vince escaped easily, so what is he waiting for? So literally, Oliver was right. He goes, "It is a trap. It is a trap." So he was right about that too.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying.
I think it's all going to come to a head. I think it's all new Team Arrow realizes that they're out of their depth, and that the reason that Oliver was their leader, makes all these tough decisions and stuff, is because he knows what he's doing.
So Cullen says, I think Black Siren. I don't think Black Siren can be redeemed after tonight. You'd be amazed by what they can do as far as redemption goes. Look at Caitlyn with Killer Frost. I mean, technically, she did a lot more than Black Siren's done.
Yeah, I think Black Siren's still on that easily and still a redemption arc because it's obvious that she's doing it for a reason.
See, I kind of want her to be redeemed, but at the same time, I mean, do you think it would just be like her joining the team or whatever? I mean, it's so weird.
That's the issue. Like, I want it to be redeemed, but the issue they follow is after that is where does she go after that? Is she going to join Team Arrow? Is she just going to leave the show completely? Because they can't have just going to be the exact same as this with the split Team Arrow. Like, is she just going to keep teaming up with Team Arrow, but then not be a part of them at the same time? Like, what's it going to be like?
Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to. If they kill her off, they're just going for a trigger. You know.
Yeah. Cullen says she can't be redeemed to Maya. Is that okay? I agree with that. I mean, obviously you could feel like there's no redemption for her, and I understand.
Yeah, but like in like the show, like people have done much worse. I think Oliver's killed more people than Black Siren has.
That's true. Yeah, because I mean, another thing is that they did you see, and this is not related to this episode, but I just want to bring it up, about If Arrow Was Honest. Did you watch that little short that got released or whatever?
No, I haven't watched it. I think I've watched If the Flash Were Honest.
Okay, the Arrow one is hilarious because it brings up a lot of good points. But the thing is that they talk about the fact that the killing on that show just happens arbitrarily. Like, sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not, kind of thing.
In this episode, Oliver threw someone off like a 3-story building and they would have died.
Yeah. Easily. So, but as far as we're talking about redemption, there's a lot of characters that have done bad things. I mean, even Thea killed Sarah. I mean, granted, she was under like the control of something outside of her means, but I mean, there's a lot of characters that do things that, they get redeemed for.
Thea killed other people. She snapped that guy's neck in season 4. She's killed multiple people.
That's true. See you later, Gary.
Sarah Lance has killed people.
Yeah. Matter of fact, Sarah Lance was a primarily like League of Assassins assassin, and then she was a vigilante who did the same thing Oliver was doing in seasons 1 and 2. So
yeah. What's that? Dinah Drake. Literally the first time we see her, she's killing someone.
Well, another thing is, okay, so this brings me to my last point about Arrow, and then like we're gonna wrap it up. But do you think Dinah and Renee are going to stay on the show? I feel like those characters are leaning more towards.
Yeah, didn't we discuss this on like another
we talked about it a little bit, but I feel like after tonight, it still feels like that might be what's happening.
Yeah, I think like Dinah's going to eventually go, this isn't for me, and there's just too much in her life, and she just leaves the team. I think Renee's like, well, I'm off with my daughter. Goodbye.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's going to be. And then Curtis will stay on because Curtis has other storylines going on.
Savage goes, Eric, when do you have a chill stream? I love these, but they're too organized. Tuesday nights are going to be chill streams now. So if you want to just chit chat with me, and if Paige wants to join me after Flash, we'll talk about it a little bit on Tuesdays. But on Thursdays, I like to, like, if I was doing this as a chill stream, it would be like 3 hours long. So we're right around an hour and 15 minutes right now. So it's a little bit longer than I wanted, but it's closer to what I wanted it to be, which is why I do this. So it allows us to wrap up all the shows for the week and talk with you guys a little bit and give you the chance to ask questions. I'm reading all the chat. It's just a lot of times people will ask things that I'm going to talk about, and I don't want to jump ahead to that. So I'm reading everything you guys are saying. It's not like I'm just ignoring you or anything like that. Mr. Terrific equals Mr. Terrible. You know, it's funny. Mr. Terrific in the comics is actually a pretty vital character right now. He's been doing a lot of big things, at least in the last decade or so. And on the TV show, it's like he's just a glorified tech support character, which is weird. It says, yes, it feels to me like Don is going to move to another city and or retire, and Renee is going to retire and focus on his daughter. Renee was kind of aggravating me this episode when he was like, I'm getting PTSD. It's like, really? I didn't like you much before, and then I started to like you a little bit, and now I'm back to not liking you again.
Well, Renee always has those lines of, I understand what they're saying with the tech babble. It's like, I think this season alone, he's probably said it like 10 times.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand.
You're going to laugh when you see the Renee that's on that If Arrow Was Honest video. That would have been hilarious. Let's see. It says, Felicity killed millions of people. Yeah, I mean, there's been... all the characters have done bad stuff. So I'm not beyond seeing them redeem anything or whatever. Cullen Prime, you know what's funny? And Paige, maybe you saw this on Twitter too. There was a lot of people who are military, either active or retired or former military, that said that line was kind of bullshit because he's not suffered post-traumatic stress disorder and it wasn't something to really make light of, especially on a show that's an adult-oriented show that has a lot of military people that watch it. So I don't know.
Yeah, didn't another show do it? Like, talk about PTSD in like a not so flattering manner.
Yeah.
I can't remember what show it was.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I don't know for sure, but I know there was a lot of talk on Twitter about it tonight or whatever. There was also on Reddit, the spoilers for this episode were actually accurate. I stumbled across them earlier today.
I honestly wouldn't have found them because I don't really go on Reddit anymore unless a piece comes out and I go to Reddit just to clarify whether people believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that I know this spoiler went on Reddit, but it got put to me on Twitter. So I just went to my mentions and it was like in the first line. I was like, Black Siren kills Vigilante. And I was like, I didn't know how she killed him.
Right.
I just know that she did kill him. So as soon as that scene came up where he was like, you know, the pole through him and she walked in, I was like, well, she's going to kill him now.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how she was going to do it.
I'll take a couple of questions here from you guys before we wrap this up. My dad thinks Barry will not be able to beat DeVoe without outside help. Can I get your thoughts? What do you mean, like outside help? Do you mean like outside of Team Flash? Because I think he is going to need outside help. I don't think he'll be able to do it by himself. Let's see. Oh, Amir. Hello. Thank you, Amir, for the super chat. Do you think the girl people think maybe Dawn Allen may in fact be Joe's daughter instead of Barry, since we know it's a girl? We talked about that a little bit earlier, Amir, and I'm under the impression that it's not going to be their daughter because she has to be from the future. She has to be able to time travel. And on The Flash, I think that the majority of time travel outside of what's happened with the Wave Rider has been done by speedsters. So I think it's most likely going to be related to Barry and Iris in some way, whether it's their daughter or granddaughter. I don't think it's going to be someone related to anybody else, especially they've given so many hints. Like, what was it in this last episode? They said that Alan always pays at the end of that episode. That she was
Alan
in.
always pays, and then she puts the money down straight after he says it.
And then she's writing the symbols that Barry was writing. I mean, I feel like they're definitely pushing towards that. So, Punisher talks about PTSD, but that's an actual show about people in the military. Like this comment about Renee was completely different. Neo, thank you for the $10 super chat. You said DeVoe isn't around, but we're supposed to believe he can somehow see the future and past and pulling the string. Also, will you be live stream gaming again? I will live stream gaming, but right now I'm playing Monster Hunter World. So if you guys want to sit and watch me play Monster Hunter World, I would love to live stream that. I'll probably do it some over the weekend. As far as DeVoe goes, and Paige, correct me if I'm wrong here, and I mentioned this in my review, DeVoe seems more like someone setting up a chessboard of things. Like, he thinks about where something is going to go, and if it doesn't go there, then it would do this instead. Like, this is how his character is being portrayed on the show. Do you think that's accurate?
Yeah, he's almost being like portrayed as like a master of probability,
Right.
like, but he's a master at it. So there's just a really small chance that he won't not succeed. But like, say there's 100 possible situations, like 97 of them he comes out on top.
Yeah.
If not, maybe 98 or 99.
So in other words,
master of probability and predicting what's going to happen.
Yeah, because I mean, he's obviously not a tech genius. We've already established that. But he has the mechanic, so he doesn't really need to be a tech genius. That's what she's there for. But as far as DeVoe goes on the show, he's always said stuff along the lines of, there was like, what, a 98.7% chance you would have done this. In all these scenarios, you selected this amount of times. So I feel like we're supposed to assume that everything that is happening is been set into motion by him, and that he always has some sort of a contingency plan, which is kind of annoying, which is what I've said in my review, is it's kind of annoying because of that reason. But at the same time, if they just gave us something, just a scene of him typing something on a computer or a schematic of something or something along those lines, I would feel a bit more comfortable with it. Because right now, I don't think they're doing enough. As being the big bad, he's been absent for how many episodes now, Paigey? Is like not counting the court episode, because he just showed up at the end of that to like bait Barry. But any plans and stuff.
Well, he was in the mid-season finale. Like that was a big thinker episode.
Right. And then after that, we haven't really seen much from him.
And then he was just in the end of the court episode 10 when he showed up, and then he was in a couple of scenes in an episode with Marlies, but that's it. He wasn't in episode 11 and he wasn't in episode 12.
Right. So,
and I don't think he's going to be in a lot of I think we might get an end credit scene next episode because there's a break. Mm-hmm. So I think there'll be an end credit scene next episode, which will be like a cliffhanger almost, but it will be centered on DeVoe because there's a break and we haven't seen him for 2 episodes.
Yeah. JJ Barrios says, I like the first DeVoe actor better. I did too. I think he was a better actor. Did you enjoy the Supernatural episode? Giovanni, you know I love Supernatural. I liked it better than the one with the all-girl team because I thought that was kind of silly. But I heard that was like a spin-off show. Or like
a backdoor pilot.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Similar to the one they did 5 seasons ago with like the vampire hunter guys or whatever that didn't work. You think they would have learned their lesson from that, but it's whatever. Let's see. Questions here. How do you think Barry will be cleared of DeVoe's murder? That's the big one, Colin Prime. Like, I don't know how that's going to happen. I have a feeling that Barry is going to have to expose something, like the prison warden or something is going to connect back to DeVoe, and maybe they'll be able to do it that way. I can't see them going back to court. That's the thing. I don't think we're going to see another, episode of them sitting in court. I mean, do you think we're going to see that, Paigey? I don't think we'll see that.
I have a video planned for the weekend, but for the people watching, I'll give you...
Just a little teaser. You don't have to tell them everything.
You thought the Avengers Infinity War teaser trailer was good. Wait for this. Okay. In the trailer, we see Barry speaking to Hazard. Mm-hmm. And earlier this season, the Thinker says that Hazard was the most important meta.
Right.
In his plan. So I think what Hazard does is that she changes Barry's luck to get him off.
Okay. And then you're going to go into detail on that in your video. So
yeah, I'm going to go through possibly how this, because it just
Tune in.
Just doesn't snap her fingers and it happens.
Right.
So there's obviously something's going to happen there. But they could do, you know how they said that Cecile's working for a retrial? Mm-hmm. They could bring Becky Sharp in. And
that would be quick then. That would be easy because it would just happen and it would be over with. So yeah, that makes sense.
One episode, Barry's out of jail.
Yeah.
Boom.
Okay. I'm going to be looking forward to that video because that's a cool theory and I think that's a good idea. So...
let's hope no one steals it. What's popping? I know you're out there. Don't steal it.
Hold on. Wait. Somebody asked something up here that I wanted to answer, and it went by. Let's go back up real quick. A couple more questions, guys, and then we're going to have to call it. Where is it at? Oh, am I going to watch the 100? Yes, I'm actually going to do videos about it. Not actual reviews. I'm going to do video content about the 100 every single week, talking about things that are happening, but I'm not going to, straight up review the episode of the 100, so look forward to that. I will be making videos about it. Does the Thinker know about Dawn or not? Harvester of Sorrow, I think she is the one variable that he's not accounted for. Because she's the only character that he has no That's the thing is, you think about it, all of his scenarios are based on things that are happening right now. She is the outlier, which means he doesn't have access to her. So I don't think he knows about her because he's not predicting the future. He's predicting probabilities of things. So if there's something that he's not aware of, he can't account for it. So let's see. It looks like pretty much wrapped up on here. Reverse flash video. Which one do you mean? Reverse flash video. You're talking about one about him coming back? There is a special reverse flash video coming soon involving me, but it's not going to be on my channel. I'm actually going to be interviewing Matt Lesher, who played the Reverse Flash, as you guys know, on Legends of Tomorrow and things like that. It's going to be this Saturday. I'm going to be doing the interview with him. It's going to be going up on discussingfilm.com, if you guys are familiar with that website. I'll post more about it on Twitter. So if you guys have any questions for Matt Lesher, the Reverse Flash, because he is going to be coming back this season, at least as far as we know, let me know on Twitter what you would like for me to ask him. Or you can leave it in the comment section here on this video if you made it this far. Because an hour and 30 minutes. You may not have made it this far. If you did, leave questions. The Reverse Flash series is never going to be finished. It's just a series of videos that I'm doing. So after I do this interview with him, I'll have more information, and then I can add to that series. It's never going to end. So ask him about the timeline. He did a Periscope about that, and it was not great. Not because he was bad on Periscope, but the way the showrunners explained it to him, what didn't make much sense to me. But I'll ask him if I can squeeze it in. I have a limited amount of time. So yes, I'm interviewing Matt Lesher. I actually interviewed Paul Blackthorne a while back for Discussing Film, who plays Quentin Lance. It was me and like another couple people that were auditioning, I guess, for the process. And we did interview with Paul Blackthorne. It's up on their channel, I believe, Discussing Film on YouTube. Fan Battles will be coming back. I actually did the last episode of Fan Battle, but it's one that YouTube doesn't like. So I don't know what to do. I've got videos that are, well, the thing is they never cleared it. That's the thing. Like that one is still sitting. I've got three or four videos that are still sitting in yellow status that I can't release. So that's why when I do the 100 videos, they're not going to be reviews. That way I can leave them in that status until they're cleared, and then I can upload them. So there's no actual like expiration date on those videos.
Believe it or not, some of my videos do get hit with the yellow, but the thing I always do is that I just delete the video and re-upload it.
They don't like me. I've tried that. It doesn't work for me. Like if it gets hit with yellow and then I upload it, it's yellow immediately. Even if I edit it, it's yellow immediately. It's got to be something in my titles or tags, but I don't know what it is. They won't tell me. So I don't know how to correct the problem. Yes, Fan Battle Royales will come back during the summer because in the summer there's going to be more free time. But don't forget, guys, we've got Supergirl going all the way until the beginning, like almost the middle of the U.S. summer. And we have Cloak and Dagger. We have Gotham that's going to be running a little bit longer this year as well. So there's
only coming back a bit earlier than it was meant to, I think.
Yeah,
I think it's meant to come back till middle of April. Now it's coming back first. Yeah. So maybe they're like, oh, people really want to see it. Let's just get it out.
Yeah. But I'm thinking there's not going to be as, like you guys, there's not going to be much downtime this summer. Like we're going to have maybe like a month and a half before we start getting like previews for the shows.
When Supergirl ends, it's probably about a month till Comic-Con.
Yeah.
So they would be back filming season. Oh no, they'd be about 2 or 3 weeks off going back to film season 4 of Supergirl if it gets renewed, which it most likely will.
Yeah, Carrie says what Supergirl goes all the way. Supergirl's going to go until the very probably the middle to beginning of the summer.
I think someone said it ends on June 21st.
Yeah, that's well into the U.S. summer. I mean, that's like so. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and did Blackthorne tell you why Dresden Files was canceled? No, I brought it up to him, and he just said, appreciate the support, but he didn't really talk much more about it than that. The Metropolis announcement. Let's just talk about that for 1 second. I was really hard on Gotham in the beginning because I did not like the first season of that show, and I didn't understand like the interest in it. But as it's gone along for a while now, it's gotten a bit more interesting to me, and the characters have grown a bit. I don't know if I want to watch a show about Lois Lane. Like, that's not really something that I think I would want to see, because in Gotham, you're dealing with Gordon when he's actually part of the police force, and there is a story there. But what story is there with Lois Lane? Did you see this, Paigey, about the Metropolis announcement or whatever?
I hate the idea. I don't know why they're doing that. I know they need original DC content to put on this streaming service, but holy crap, it's DC Comics. So there's so much more stuff to do.
Why not just do more animated stuff? Like, I mean, that's enough to pull people in if you wanted to really pull them in. Just make the live action stuff good. Even if it takes you 6 months to put out a series, at least make it worth it. I feel like they're doing, and I know people hate this, it seems like they're making filler shows to get people.
I reckon they're doing it because it's cheap to make, because they can just set it in an office.
Right. It's like Lois Lane and Lex. Like, I don't know. You're not going to top Lex from Smallville. Period. There's no show that's going to top that.
The only thing they could do here is that they could actually finally cast Billy Zane in the role of Lex Luthor.
They could, and he's not really doing much right now. So, I mean, I don't think it is. So, but we've got a show based on Krypton, and now we're going to have a show based on Metropolis. I feel like it's too much overkill of that, personally.
Yeah, it's too much Superman prequel. It's too much of it.
The only Metropolis show I care about is Smallville sequels. Like, if you really care about anything related to Superman prequel, just watch Smallville. There's 10 seasons of it. It's good. The beginning is much better than the end. But yeah, go ahead and watch that. It's much better. And Supergirl is doing a pretty decent job this season of like building on mythos. So I don't understand the need for a Lois Lane show.
But then they're also saying that Lois Lane could be coming to Supergirl.
I heard about that. You're right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It feels like a waste. The DC streaming service needs to be a bit more unique, in my opinion.
Yeah, it can't just have like another show like we've got. Like, don't do a Superman on like any sort of show like that on that. Like, do something else. Like, do like the question show. Why don't they do a show on the question? Like, Mark Guggenheim revealed in an interview that they couldn't use the question because DC has other plans for him.
Yeah, it's not a network, Kyle. Metropolis is going to be on the streaming service. They're doing it like that's not like, if you were to tell me that was the show that's going to pull people in, nobody's going to pay for the streaming service for the Metropolis show.
Yeah.
Sam,
go for Titans.
I don't select the interviews. Discussing Film does it, and then they just ask the people involved with them to actually do the interviews. But I have to say, I've known the guys on Discussing Film for probably 2 years now, maybe a little bit longer, since they started building it up and everything. And I have to say, compared to all the other comic book sites, and this is me just talking from strictly knowing what's going on with them, they're not about that clickbait life at all. They are literally they are literally giving you information. It's a much better website.
And they just give it to you on their Twitter. They don't say, "Oh, in blank dies in blank with blank," and then put a link there. And you go, "Oh, I have to click this to find out." Yeah. Discussing Film just say it on Twitter. They'll just say, "Colton Haynes coming back for episode 15 and 16 of Arrow this season." Mm-hmm. No link, just that with a picture on Twitter.
Yeah,
and that's their news.
Hey, what's up, True Talk? How are you doing?
They were the ones that broke. They were the ones that broke the Jay Garrick news, and they were the ones that broke the Jesse Quick news. I think they were the first ones to do that. Mm-hmm. And they broke another piece of news this season. It might have been that Danny Trejo was coming back for later this season, which was confirmed yesterday by Kevin Smith on his Instagram. This was revealed months ago though, so I can't remember if it was them or someone else, but it was someone. It was either them or another joint, but I think it was Discussing Film.
Either way, right now they have my attention because they're doing good stuff, and I'm really happy to be part of their interview process. There's a couple of other interviews lined up that I'm going to be part of, but the first one is Matt Lesher, so that's the one I'm focused on. But I will say this: one of them is Black Lightning related, and one of them is Arrow related. And that's all I'm going to say. It's going to be coming up in the next couple of months. So I will. Each time we get closer to it, I will let you guys know.
Ooh, is it Raised and the Maid?
No, it's not.
Oh, that's
the Black Lightning one is going to be huge, though. I am really excited about that one because let me just say this: I'm not going to say who it is, but I will say it is the most important person on the show. So I'll put it that way.
Well, I'm assuming you mean Cress Williams.
I didn't say it, Paigey. I didn't say it, but. Thoughts on the Ant-Man and Wasp trailer? I love Ant-Man. I love the first movie. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with this one. So it looks funny. I like the idea of the villain being the Ghost, which is one of the cooler Ant-Man villains. So
are they making it that she's invisible? Does she go invisible in the movie?
I don't know for sure, but I think it would be really cool.
Yeah.
Because I know there's been several versions of that character, but I'm hoping that
the one I know is that she goes invisible.
Yeah, like, and she can pass through objects too. Like she can move through objects.
Was it like intangible or whatever the wording is? I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Savage Reviews. I'm going to Dragon Con confirmed. Look, Neo says Cress Williams and Emily Bet Rickard's interview confirmed. I did not say that, but one of those could be right, and one of those is definitely wrong. We'll leave it there. Thank you for the super chat, CB2198. I'm definitely going to be seeing that, and I'm going to see Black Panther. I didn't get an early invite because I'm not part of the Cool Club, but I will be going to see it. Yeah, I'm not part of the Cool Club, so I'm going to be going on the night of a release, and I will do a review of that when I get done. The Ghost.
Has anyone seen the bad CGI in Black Panther in the trailers?
Yeah, somebody brought that up, but I think they said that the trailers were not 100% done, so we'll have to wait and see.
No, it's like a clip that they're releasing the ones that they always release online, like leading up to the movie.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm hoping it isn't because it looks when X-Men Origins Wolverine got leaked.
Yeah,
it's that level of CGI. It looks really bad.
I'm thinking that it's probably just not 100%, but we'll see when it comes out.
I'm hoping that maybe you know how sometimes IMAX CGI can when it's seen in like the normal like whatever it is looks really bad.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's because it's like it's better to see in IMAX. When you see it on IMAX, it looks much better. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. So Ghost was also an Iron Man villain. Yeah, so it might have been originally. I don't know which one came first, but Ghost was also a villain. Ghost has been a villain of like Ant-Man, Iron Man, the West Coast Avengers, I believe, as well. So I'll have to double check, but I think it's a great character. I love the design of it. Mega crossover channel stream. Info on that. So we talked about this, the other day, like on Tuesday or Wednesday. I think we're going to do it the 10th. Is that right? Paigey, did we say the 10th?
Well, not this Saturday, the Saturday after. So yeah, the 10th.
Yeah, the Mega Channel video. Yeah, it'll be on the 10th at 8 p.m. GMT instead of 7. And it's going to be all of us together. So yeah, that'll be great. So if there's no other super chats, no other questions, I think we're going to wrap it up. But this will be live, hopefully, in just a bit after it processes. So if you missed anything, you can go back and check it out then. But anyway, thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you, Paigey, for joining me tonight. And as usual, we'll be doing I'll be doing DCTV superhero roundup thingies on Thursdays now. And Tuesdays will be chill streams. If you guys want to join me on a Tuesday in my Discord server for a live stream, let me know. If not, Paigey may jump on with me. And if you want me to stream Monster Hunter and do chill streams on my PS4, hit me up on Twitter at DJ Eric and say, get on Monster Hunter. This is my ID. Let's team up and take down some animals. So, because they're not real animals. So there's no reason to get mad at me for, taking them out. So anyway, I will talk with you guys later. Thank you so much. And Paigey, thanks again. See you later.
No worries. See you.